So David Pakman's doing the job of the right by, you know, chastising leftists and fear mongering about. He's just doing Red Scare shit. That's essentially what's going on here. I guess he doubled down on this because a lot of leftists are actually getting like really fucking irritated with him, which wouldn't be the first time. But he put out a video not long after that called "Am I a Right Wing Nut Now?" Let's see here.
Historical data. Well, I'm getting a ton of
Just
comments
this
lately,
little bit.
questions saying, David, why aren't you a socialist? Why aren't you a communist? You
Yeah.
often mention it, but what about explaining the why? And I've even gotten some suggestions that because I'm not a socialist or a communist, I must be some kind of right winger. I must have had some political 180 where now I am.
Well, here's the thing, and I kind of adhere to this mindset to an extent. Left wing means you are anti-capitalist. Right wing means you are in favor of capitalism to one extent or another. Same goes for the left, anti-capitalist to one extent or another. But that's basically like where the dividing line actually fucking is.
Am on the political right.
And like, if you're a leftist, obviously you've gotten to a point where you feel like capitalism cannot be redeemed. It's it is a failed system. It can't be saved, which is pretty much fucking true. Because like the biggest thing is if you are in favor of democracy, if you champion democracy, if you believe in democratic principles and values, you can't also be a capitalist. You can't also defend capitalism because capitalism is anti-democratic. Capitalism is at odds with democracy. Capitalism and democracy are incompatible. Let's continue.
But the question is, why do I not subscribe to those ideologies? I think that's a legitimate question that I want to explore. Now, the real reason that I don't support those systems is very simple. I don't believe either system is the best way to maximize human well being and to organize society. And as such, they are not systems that I can support. And I believe this looking at empirical historical data and in applying a socioeconomic analysis to these theories. I am a social democrat. As a reminder, social democrat and democratic socialist.
So here's the thing, right? Um, with there's an extent to where, you know, in a perfect world, this can reign true to some extent because the whole big reason right now that capitalism is out of fucking hand is its ability to buy influence. The more capital you accrue, the more the more power you obtain, the more influence that you can wield. That, like I said, is at odds with democracy. Like the well-being of people is like people in general is one thing. Yeah, capitalism is definitely better than feudalism, but when you have an increased concentration of wealth and power sitting at the top at the expense of the bottom 95% of people, at what point do you sit and assess and go, oh, this actually isn't the best system for upward mobility and providing a better standard of living for all people? Because we see how that's not the case. We see how exorbitant wealth and income inequality and wealth inequality has led to like the end of capitalism. Everything is financialized now. Everything is gambling. It's to the point now where um people are going into debt just to buy their groceries. Like they're making payments on like fucking Chipotle orders and shit. It's all it's just a big old casino, and it's all fake money, just being put aside to um, finance basic goods. This hasn't happened before, and it's because of capitalism. So how can you sit there and say that?
Are two completely different things. Democratic socialists are socialists, whereas social democrats are not. As a social democrat, I support getting everybody health care, strong unions in support of labor.
Unless they call themselves a democratic socialist, right? If they believe in that, then
Affordable education that is of high quality, progressive taxation where the wealthiest are taxed the most,
yeah.
serious corporate regulation, and a very strong social safety net. I support those things. I also support markets, private businesses, private ownership of property, and the ability to make profit in private industry. For a lot of goods and services.
I mean, you could still have that. You could still have a market and have it be socialist. But like, should you have the ability to rig a market like what we have currently? It's like here's the thing. A lot of what he believes in is impossible to obtain without a massive stripping of wealth and power from the top 1%. Like that, it's just that's irrefutable. Yeah, like he thinks you can do that without championing some sort of socialist cause.
Services, there is no good reason to eliminate markets. We don't need government planners deciding, for example, which restaurants should open, which laptops should be manufactured, what kind of furniture should be manufactured and sold.
That is an outright fantasy. Literally, nobody is saying that. Nobody is even suggesting that.
It's completely fine to let companies compete there. Let people start businesses and own them, test ideas, succeed and fail within the context of a market. I do believe that markets encourage innovation, but not because of the reason right wingers say they do. Right wingers love to say, if you don't have markets, nobody will ever work hard if they don't have the possibility of becoming a millionaire or a billionaire. I don't buy that stuff from the right. People are also motivated by a lot of other things, curiosity and purpose, recognition, solving problems. And we see publicly funded research produce extraordinary breakthroughs. But it is all.
Yes. I mean, I'm not opposed to anything he's saying right here, but he's trying to be so 50-50 on a political scale, and I don't buy it. I completely agree, River Peace. It's so transparent.
Also true, and we should recognize.
And it's like I said at the beginning of the stream too, and apologies for like the first 20 minutes of bad audio and how frustrating that was. He's trying to have it both ways. It's like you can't be a champion of these progressive ideas, these social democratic ideals, but also give credence to Republican propaganda when it comes to talking about democratic socialists. Because they are not extremists. If like if they are championing causes that a majority of Americans support, they are by definition not extreme. Yet he wants to have it both ways. Like either you support these social democratic causes, or they're extreme causes. Like
that competition and financial rewards are also real motivators. And if you remove them across the entire economy, you reduce experimentation, you reduce innovation, and also, I would argue, efficiency. And so what social democracy recognizes.
Like no. You a lot of our innovation actually does come from public funding. You can still have that in place. That incentive is there. You don't have to have these the potential of innovation privatized. Like that's just fucking capitalist propaganda. Like you could absolutely still innovate as a country and have it all be done through public funding. Like look at what's happening right now. Like look at what kind of innovation are we seeing from the private sector right now? Fucking AI that nobody wants. You can't sit there and be like, well, the private industry is actually going to be like, we need it in place because of innovation and whatnot. Nobody wants flock cameras. Nobody wants AI data centers. Like nobody wants their phone spying them at all times and having their fucking likeness and whatnot uploaded into an algorithm so that AI can replicate their entire being or the art that they make or the music that they make or the content that they put on the internet. Nope. Like yet the actual government itself, if it was actually a lot more social democratic, as you say, it can actually rein these companies in and shit. And it's just like, in order to get that get to that place, we need energy, and the energy is behind the democratic socialists right now, and that's where the economic populism is. Yeah, I agree. River Peace. There's only one Hassan. Like, I guess, dude. Hey, BR 77777. You know, there's like dozens upon dozens of more like streamers and content creators that are on the left besides Hassan Piker, right? Like they're like countless figures. I'm not trying to be Hassan. Hassan is Hassan, but I guess thank you anyway. Weird ass comments.
Is social democracy being a form of regulated capitalism? Social democracy recognizes markets are really useful tools, but markets are not the moral authorities that the right wing believes them to be. I do also believe that some things should be.
Yeah, I'll say this. BR 777. You should change your name, make it a little bit better to read. I have no issue with Hassan being number one. I actually defend Hassan more than the average leftist. So, and I actually watch him every now and then too. I'm not exactly sure what your issue is.
Removed from the profit motive because market failure would cause completely unacceptable harm that wealthy countries have no reason to accept. If you don't like the
well, here's the thing about that too, David, is markets in countries that are a lot more rigid, like social democracies and like socialists, for example, they can bear the brunt of economic turmoil much better than capitalist countries because the wealth is a lot more divided amongst the population. It's not centered all the top. Because if the top collapses, it's a what was how's the phrase go? Privatize the gains, socialize the losses. That's just like the boom bust cycle in a nutshell when it comes to capitalist nations. So
available TVs, you can wait to buy one. If you don't like the prices, you can wait for a sale or not buy one at all and hope that the market adjusts. That's TVs. If you need insulin, you can't wait for the market to become more compassionate or adjust so that you can afford your insulin. And so in the areas of healthcare, education, infrastructure, law enforcement, military, and other essential services, we can't treat them like sneakers. We can't treat them like video games. Their purpose must be universal access.
Yeah, no shit. Has he read like any communist theory at all? Like, come on. It's become a meme in like actual like commie socialist circles and whatnot. It's just like there's a difference between private property and public property, and there's obviously lines. Like you're not. It's just so fucking silly. Like the way that he sees the broader like far left and whatnot. It's just like this is not what communists actually like advocate for, or even the goddamn DSA for that matter. Shit.
Not let's extract the maximum possible profit from people who end up with nowhere else to go. That's the basic social democratic approach. You use markets where they improve people's lives, and you use public provision where markets predictably fail. So then, why am I not a socialist or a communist?
That's essentially a socialist argument, though. Like there is such thing as market socialism, like a democratized market. Like obviously, if people understand that um, uh, adjusting the market in some way that's like harmful to uh, the most amount of people, I guess it people will recognize that it takes education. But the problem is there's so much fucking propaganda that people actually do. People actually think that. Well, a good example would be like trickle down economics. That was very successful propaganda, and people still buy into that shit. It's like a rising tide lifts all boats. No, it's a fucking rocket ship taking off while you're just sitting there with the crumbs that fall from the sky. That it's fucking ridiculous.
Communists. Why won't I go further? Let's deal with each of them sort of one by one. Now,
Um fucking what my comparisons, for lack of a better word, are kind of shitty, but bear with me.
I don't want to make this a definitional game
Analogies is the word I'm looking for.
where people, it's sort of like when you criticize Jordan Peterson and the Peterson people go, you're not criticizing exactly what he meant. Even if we have to have some kind of working definitions for socialism and communism. Socialism and communism, in turn, usually want to replace private ownership of major industries with worker, public, or state ownership, depending on whether we're talking about a socialist or a communist model. Now, of course, there are many different kinds of socialism. Democratic socialists are not communists, but I just don't see
Good.
broad collective ownership as the best way to organize an economy. This is a question to a degree of opinion. Some in the audience might disagree. You might go, no,
Yeah, definitely disagree. That's for sure.
that is the best way to organize the economy. All right, well, we're having the conversation. I do support voluntary worker cooperatives. Let people create them and finance them and demonstrate their advantages if that's what they want to do. Nobody should be prevented from running a business as a co-op, but nobody should be required to run a business as a co-op either. Requiring businesses to adopt collective ownership limits choices. It's authoritarian. It eliminates.
I guess I can agree with that. It's definitely a conversation worth having, but like still, do you really want like should it be strictly hierarchical? Like it should be like if you were there should be like no interference, right? Like I think every single workplace should have the option to unionize. There should be zero uh, interference in that choice being made. But this is just getting into the weeds now. But
Eliminates potentially useful forms
for the
of
sake of
competition.
continuity, we're
And
gonna
I am an
stop.
anti-authoritarian at my core. This is why I'm opposed to both right-wing and left-wing authoritarianism, whether it's Kim Jong-un or Putin or Maduro or whatever. I'm an anti-authoritarian. Now, if a privately owned restaurant and a worker-owned factory and a publicly owned utility each work well in their respective areas, I see no reason to force them into the same ownership model. Now, communism goes further. Communism usually wants state or government ownership of the businesses, the elimination of economic classes, and theoretically, depending on which flavor you're sort of talking about.
I think he's also operating from this mindset that the idea of communism is actually obtainable or feasible to begin with. And as a leftist myself, I can just tell you right now it's not. It's absolutely like it's not. I think communism really is like a pipe dream, a fantasy. I do think that it's why I'm a fucking socialist. I think a democratized marketplace is the it makes a whole hell of a lot more sense because you need markets. We live in a global economy. We need trade, and that shouldn't be dictated by mega corporations who basically buy and control world governments, but also uh, establishing communism globally is just like you might as well try herding cats, but the cats are dead.
An eventual stateless society. I just don't believe that eliminating private ownership and market forces throughout the economy would maximize well-being. And we've got a lot of examples from history of where it has destroyed well-being. It would create massive information problems. It
Mm,
weakens useful incentives, and it'll end up
no,
concentrating economic decisions
no,
in
no.
institutions that are
Useful incentives. Listen, you do not need the profit motive to incentivize people to be productive or creative. You just don't. However, it's that profit motive that incentivizes CEOs and the ultra wealthy to maximize said profits at the expense of ordinary working people who routinely get screwed over. And that happens in a variety of ways, and it's all rooted in capitalism and the profit motive that drives those philosophies, those ideals, those kinds of people.
often completely incapable of understanding local needs and individual preferences. And that's where we come back to the sort of fundamental authoritarianism of it. What happens under socialism when owners refuse to surrender their businesses to that socialized ownership model? And when people move their money, when voters elect leaders promising to restore private enterprise in a socialist system? If socialism can freely be voted out, I don't think it would last. And if you preserve socialism against public resistance, you can end up with property seizures, capital controls, restrictions on investment, limits on political opposition. It is a very serious authoritarian.
Okay, you're starting to sell authoritarianism on me because those actually sound like good things. Honestly, I'll fucking honestly, I'll even say it. Those are actually like good things. If it requires authoritarianism to achieve things like that for the betterment of society at large, fuck it. Fuck it. Honestly, like I mean, maybe property seizures go a little bit too far, but things like what do you say?
End up with property seizures, capital controls, restrictions on investment.
Yeah, like those are actually like good things.
Limits on political opposition. It is a very serious.
Limits on political options is one thing. That's why I believe in campaign finance reform. If only Mr. Pakman here was a bit more forthright on his opposition to legalized bribery and Citizens United, as well as taking PAC money.
Serious authoritarian danger. And that exists both in forcing a society into one of these models and in getting it to remain there. Communism just intensifies that. And reaching the supposed stateless society requires an extraordinarily powerful state, which sometimes seizes property,
Again, I mean, sure, there are edgy, fucking, unironic communists that I would imagine are in his emails all the fucking time or in his DMs, whatever the fuck. And he needs to stop taking these people seriously. Because like more often than not, he tends to like air out his grievances, and they tend to do with the kind of messages and emails that he gets, and it's just not serious at all, and he needs to stop pretending that it is, because the only actual people who can influence things right now are the people who are winning these seat races, these Democratic seat races that are endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America. These are the people ultimately that he should focus on, and just stop conflating with communists, like the edgy fucking tankies or whoever the fuck is plaguing his emails and shit. Ultimately, I think that is like the crux of the issue here.
eliminates the capitalist class, reorganizes production, and usually suppresses resistance to that change as well. And the state doesn't disappear. What we've seen historically is that you end up with this new ruling class made up of often corrupt, typically cronyistic and nepotistic party officials, bureaucrats, military leaders, security agencies. Now, I know that
You mean like what we have right now?
some people will go, but David, those weren't real communism. I think that avoids sort of the central question,
Like that's literally what we have right now, though.
which is why have attempts to implement communism so consistently produced this one party rule filled with censorship and repression? So for me, one of the key tenets of leftism is opposing domination. That includes
Listen, like who is actually advocating unironically for communism the way you describe it. Like, you can't be serious, dude. You can't be falling for this shit.
Includes domination by corporations and billionaires on the one hand, and it also includes opposing domination by governments or political parties or these self-appointed revolutionaries who say, I speak for everybody. Social democracy, which I subscribe to, recognizes corporate power can become abusive and state power can become abusive, and both need democratic limits. So I want markets where markets work. I want public provision where markets fail or distort society. And I want democracy to protect people from both corporate and government power. Being not being
okay, then you need to oppose capitalism in order for democracy to actually protect from those powers,
a socialist,
especially like corporate power.
Not being a communist doesn't make one right wing. My goal is not to reach the furthest left position imaginable. My goal is
actually well, I mean, yeah.
Let's support the system most likely to improve people's lives while preserving freedom. And that is why I have the beliefs I have of social democracy. Many examples around the world of social democracy successes. And that is how I have come to hold the beliefs that I hold. People can disagree. People can email me. People can leave a comment, info@davidpakman.com. But hopefully I've at least explained the origins or justification for my position. Thanks for watching. Check.
All right. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt in a couple different regards, which I already laid out. He is too wrapped up on the edgy folks that send him DMs and emails, the people who unironically support communism, and he thinks that applies a bit more broadly to more broadly to the left than actually exists. Not to mention, I lost my train of thought. I'll say this. I think him as a figurehead for the Democrats to some extent or another, the fact that he talks to them, if he can convince the Democrats that he talks to that his worldview is that his ideology generally is worth adapting and actually implementing, that's a net positive, regardless. Like what he describes as social democracy and like his actual beliefs, if the Democratic Party was actually in line with those beliefs and those ideals and whatnot, the world would be a fucking just so much better place, a much better place. Except that's just not the case. The problem is he has blind spots, and that has entirely to do with PAC money and campaign finance. He will not touch the issue of Israel because he kind of learned his lesson. I'll show you this. Not many people remember this, but Mr. Mike Figueredo, big friend of the channel, he shared this recently. Remember when David Pakman scolded Rashida Tlaib for daring to suggest Israel would ever bomb a hospital? Because he retweeted David Pakman from October 20th, 2023. Hamas appears to bomb their own hospital and Israel blamed. Mike says, it's funny that he decided to not say anything about this again after hospital bombings became a regular thing. Yep. God, like what? Every fucking hospital in Gaza has been flattened now, I believe. Yeah, I don't know why this fucking browser won't load the videos on X, but whatever. Yeah, that'll always be a major blind spot for him, but yeah, I'll probably cut this stream up into two parts. The first one being the first video, and the second one being his second video. But thank you all for tuning in so much. I'm going to go wine tasting briefly, and tune in Tuesday at 7, around 7, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Me and Dieter will be doing the Left Coast, as we do almost every single week. We've got a lot more to talk about there. Subscribe if you guys haven't already.